If small holes aren't fixed, then big holes will bring hardship. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. If you can't do it, give up. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Everywhere I go I find a poet has been there before me. With words one man can make another blessed, or drive him to despair. The first human being who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. Rather than living our lives, we are lived by unknown and uncontrollable forces. The goal of all life is death. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. Love is a state of temporary psychosis. My love is something valuable to me which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Not all men are worthy of love. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. Love and work, work and love. That's all there is. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. Dreams are often most profound when they seem the most crazy. Everyone has wishes which he would not like to tell to others, which he does not want to admit even to himself. Dreams are the guardians of sleep and not its disturbers. Dreams may be thus stated: they are concealed realizations of repressed desires. The dream acts as a safety valve for the overburdened brain. The dream unites the grossest contradictions, permits impossibilities, sets aside the knowledge that influences us by day, and exposes us as ethically and morally obtuse. The dream is the liberation of the spirit from the pressure of external nature, a detachment of the soul from the fetters of matter. The mind is like an iceberg, it floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. The most common form of repression operates not at the level of the individual psyche, but at the level of society. Where ID was, there shall ego be. The ego is not master in its own house. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is: what does a woman want? The act of birth is the first experience of anxiety, and thus the source and prototype of the affect of anxiety. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. All family life is organized around the most damaged person in it. Psychoanalysis is in essence a cure through love. I have found little good about human beings. In my experience, most of them are trash. The madman is a dreamer awake. History is just new people making old mistakes. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. The mind is powerful, and it is only by understanding and harnessing its power that we can truly live our lives to the fullest. He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is that you in the past. And the only person better you should be, this is who you are now. Thought is action in rehearsal. In the small matters, trust the mind, in the large ones, the heart. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exist in our subconscious. Dogs love their friends and bite their enemies, quite unlike people, who are incapable of pure love and always have to mix love and hate. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. When we attempt to imagine death, we perceive ourselves as spectators. None believes in his own death. In the unconscious everyone is convinced of his own immortality. The tendency to aggression is an innate, independent, instinctual disposition in man. It constitutes the powerful obstacle to culture. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea, they become powerless when they oppose it. When I am criticized, I can defend myself, but I'm powerless against the praise. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. The mind is not a razor blade that can be fitted once for all into a holder, but is a complex, delicate instrument which has to be adjusted to the circumstances of life again and again. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to taking it away from them they will defend it like a lioness her young. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The ego is not master in its own house. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. The first requisite of civilization is that of justice.